The head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Welcome to episode 2. The Brothers 13, Mike D. McCarthy and James Knight. Your critiquing cowboys and industry professionals are going to talk about Carrie and Maxxxine. Hang on to your bootstraps, because here we go. But nobody has bootstraps anymore. I mean, maybe a few equestrian riders, or alas, I digress. Let's get cracking.
Ready?
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. How are you? What's hanging at the homestead?
A stench is hanging in the air.
Nice. Sounds like my last recording we did.
No, it's not nice. We got I record in the basement. We got blasted with a skunk last night just outside the house. Yeah.
Pepe Le Pew?
Oh man, not nearly as cute. No, it was so bad it woke us up in the middle of the night. Like,
oh, really? Dude.
Yeah. And
oh my god.
The basement is like, it has one of those windows that's like right at the ground level.
Oh, sure.
And that looks out right underneath the back porch where the skunk has decided to make its home. Its temporary home, I think.
Oh, you hope, yeah. Are you moving that guy along?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, I bought that like it's like granulated coyote urine or whatever. You know what I mean? You can like spread it around. I use a
lot of recipes. Blue Apron turned me on to it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, a little goes a long way. I made the mistake of like opening the cap up as I got it, being like, because sometimes some of that stuff you like can't smell it. It's like at a sound or a frequency or something that like it's only going to bother the animal. But I like cracked that thing open. I gave it a whiff and about put myself on the floor. Like, oh yeah, that should work.
Oh shit! I laughed like Charles Nelson Riley there.
But so hopefully we can get it to move on its way, because it smells like fucking Tommy Chong's duffel bag down here. It's just, and I don't mean because it's full of weed. I mean because it's full of like his gym clothes. It smells like weed and animal byproduct. It's foul.
Oh, God, that's horrible. Years ago, we made some spaghetti, and you know where this is going.
Sure, it's a natural segue. I was just thinking.
It might have had too much garlic and mushroom in it, and I remember going to bed, and I'm like, I'm a little crampy, and about. I went like 1 or 2 in the morning. I got woken up, hearing like at the foot of the bed. I was like, "What the fuck?" And I mean, the dog was retching, and I sat up into a wall of stench that was basically leaking out of me. Garlic and mushroom for a couple of hours, probably, from both of us, I'll admit.
Oh my God. You made the dog gag?
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. Sweet karmic retribution.
Yeah.
On the poor animal.
Grace loves when I tell that story.
Well, the good news is no one will hear it now.
Exactly. Oh shit! It is. It's ladies' night here at the podcast,
and the feeling's right for some classics and some new movies here.
Yeah. we're trying to stick with the same format from last week, which is a classic film that we're not going to worry about spoilers, and then a new movie where we will give you our quick little overview, spoiler free, and then into the spoiler version.
Yeah, so we're going to start it out here in a little bit with a 1976 classic, based, of course, on the best-selling Stephen King novel.
Yes.
And
do tell.
A movie that had one of the most iconic jump scares, I think, of all time, really. At least for anyone in Generation X. It fucked up a lot of people, I think.
Are you talking about the end?
Yeah, of course I am, man.
Right straight to the ending. What about a kiss boy?
No, I'm just trying to tease what movie it is. I'm sure.
You just can't go stampeding toward Carrie White burns in hell.
You're right. We should start out with Carrie White eats shit, which I think is much closer to the beginning of course, the movie Carrie is what we're talking about.
Exactly. 1976 classic Carrie. And we're going to pair it with Maxxxine, which is the sequel to X and tied into the prequel of Pearl.
Yeah. And really finishes quite an impressive trilogy as far as modern horror movies go. It was really an achievement from Ty West and Mia Goth, but we'll get into that after we tackle Creepy Carrie. Ow. Still funny.
I love that moment.
Yeah, still funny. I mean, it is a horror movie to be sure, but it doesn't mean you can't get a laugh in sometimes.
You know, I was talking to our announcer Tyler the other night, and I said, "Yeah, this week we're doing Carrie and Maxxxine," and he goes, "Eve was weak. Eve was weak." It's like amazing. I didn't say anything. He just immediately comes out with that line.
It's so quotable. It really is. Yeah. I mean, especially her performance. I'll get into that in a little bit. It really is one of my favorite over-the-top performances of any movie. But we picked it because, before I'd seen Maxxxine, kind of the word on the street was there was a lot of Brian De Palma influence.
Yeah.
So we were looking for like maybe a De Palma movie, and just looking through his filmography, Carrie jumped out. It's like, well, titular female lead in that.
Female coming of age story, so to speak.
Yeah. So and as I was digging around, doing some research before we rewatched Carrie again, trying to make it seem like I knew what I was talking about. I came across this like old, I don't know, it's like an alternate. Did they call them trailers back then, or were they just still like movie previews? Okay, so I found this like alternate trailer take that De Palma put together for the movie. They didn't use it. I'm not sure why, but I had never heard it before. So I know I sent it to you. Have you listened?
Yeah. No, I haven't. But okay, we should play it now, huh?
Yeah, if you got it queued up, let's give it a listen.
All right, here it is.
What to do with all these powers? The kids at school all call her Creepy Carrie, but little do they know she's becoming telekinetic. Just don't tell Mom, though, because Jesus doesn't like it when girls show off and make a big deal about stuff. Based on Stephen King's best-selling novel and directed by modern master of suspense Brian De Palma, Carrie is one good time sure to bring the house down.
There's no way that is a real trailer.
What? No. De Palma, I don't know why, but that's like in the vaults, I think. I don't know if it's on the special edition Blu-ray of Carrie.
Yeah. Is that the steel box only?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was at a pretty dark part of the internet when I got that, when I found that. But
I'm sure we have visited some dark parts of the internet.
sure. This one, yeah, I mean, it was all about De Palma's shower scenes, and then I found that trailer in there. So,
Sex
I mean, the
vampire
people,
Craig Watson.
the people sounded like they knew what they were talking about. So I think it's legit.
All right. We'll let the people decide.
But Carrie, yeah, that's early De Palma, and really, you see a lot of his tricks at work right at the beginning.
Yeah,
including a really, really perhaps overlong shower scene with a bunch of high school girls in the beginning of the movie.
I wrote a note. And the very first note I wrote for this is, I feel fairly certain the opening is a real representation of what every girl's locker room must be like. Very little modesty, snapping each other with towels, playing grab ass. And then I wrote, what is grab ass, by the way?
Yeah, in the most obviously directed by a man moment of the entire movie. I was
completely.
Look at all this full frontal nudity. These chicks just laughing and jumping around, and there was so much, lathering up in the shower, and so many angles of thighs and shoulders.
Yeah.
And I mean, I admit after a while I was like, God, this is real. How many days did they spend just shooting this scene?
This is rather voyeuristic. You're looking over your shoulder to make sure mom's not in the room, right?
Sure. Yeah, well, and the thing is, I did, like I said, I visited some other De Palma movies as I was watching these, and I watched Body Double, right, which is...
Hell yeah.
The whole thing is about voyeurism, really. So in that regard, I was like, that's fine. But at the beginning of Carrie, I was just like, Jesus Christ. And, I know, right, none of the girls are actually teenagers.
No, they're
all women in their 20s. But still, I was like, this is making me feel uncomfortable. Not in a good horror movie way.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have it because the beginning of the movie, when Carrie gets her period, that's an important movie to get. I just don't think we needed 17 different angles of Sissy Spacek's naked body before we got there.
I do know that is how women shower. I've seen enough movies to know that they slowly do it in a circular motion.
But so let's just talk about what we liked, what we didn't, and sort of what's iconic about this movie. I'll pop it over to you first. Tell me what's good about this. I got plenty of things, but
I mean, this movie is good from beginning to end. The camera stuff, the De Palma look and feel of it is great. The acting is great. I mean, Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie, who plays her mom, both nominated.
Really?
Best actress and best supporting actress, and they only lost out to that movie Network. Remember that movie?
Oh, sure, of course. Well, I mean, that's some pretty noteworthy performances in Network too. So
absolutely, Network cleaned up at the Oscars that year, and that's why these two ladies did not get the win, in my opinion. But their fucking performances are amazing. I mean, Piper Laurie is just insane with that whole "Eve was weak, the Raven did this," and cover
with
up your dirty pillows
with his whiskey breath. And his dirty touching. She is truly, I have said it for years, it is one of my favorite over-the-top performances of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, the one that I talk about with it, even though it's a much bigger role in its movie, when I talk about over-the-top and how it's it's almost... it would almost be bad if the actor wasn't so fully committed, and they make it great. But Piper Laurie and Carrie, and I always talk about Al Pacino in Scarface, and kind of the same sort of like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And what I didn't actually realize until we were looking at this, Scarface, Brian De Palma. It's a De Palma film too. So he's just like
true.
he's just letting him off the chain, because truly, I mean, Piper, there's not a piece of furniture on that set that Piper Laurie doesn't have her teeth marks in by the end of this movie. She is chewing through all of it, and it's great.
She also reminded me a lot of Diane Ladd's character in Wild at Heart of the Crazy.
You know? Yeah, boy, that's another one that needs a revisit.
She's rubbing the lipstick all over her face.
Oh, unhinged.
Completely. Unhinged, older women. It's, it's my thing.
And then Sissy Spacek, I mean, you talk about that performance too. Certainly, it's amazing. What was crazy is when I actually looked up, you know how old Sissy Spacek was?
No.
When she... Take a shot.
I'm going to say 23?
27.
Oh, nice.
She's 27 years old, and I mean, believably plays like a 17-year-old girl, I thought, in this.
Totally.
Because there's not an inch of her you don't see, too. But
Yeah.
I mean, she's so good at being that sort of like wafy, naive, shy kid. Yeah, it's no wonder she was nominated, because she's 100% believable.
You know
And
how
it's
she auditioned for the role, right?
I don't.
Oh. Well, Melanie Griffith was one of the women that was up for this.
Oh.
And Sissy wanted the job, so she rubbed Vaseline in her hair, didn't wash for a couple of days, and wore like a dirty old handmade dress to the audition.
Oh. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah, because, and the thing is, too, why she's also, I think, so good and so perfect for it is because she is not, by any means, like a traditional beauty. You know, Melanie Griffith is just beautiful. And trust me, again, I just watched Body Double. She's in that one. She's gorgeous, you know? But, like, you really believe that Sissy Spacek could be the shy kid who gets picked on because she, you know, she's quiet and she looks a little bit different than everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. Remind me to tell you my Melanie Griffith story someday.
Ooh, can't wait. We'll save that for the Patreon.
It's a good one. You're going to chuckle.
But, you know, people don't talk about Spacek, you know, in the same breath that we always give our you know, when we think about the great American actresses and stuff and the great
you really don't.
film actors. But she always brings it. She's good. She's amazing in everything she's done. I know she's won an Oscar. I think she's won a couple of Emmys as well. And there was that show. I didn't like the show. But do you remember that Castle Rock TV show?
Oh, yeah.
That was on?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, based on all the Stephen King properties. And there were a lot of like Stephen King Easter eggs and stuff. And she was in, I didn't like that show, but she was in an episode. I don't know if you remember it.
I do remember now that you mention it.
Her and Scott Glenn were in it. And she played a woman who was going through dementia, and she was hiding like chess pieces all over the house, because as she was doing her like daily chores, she would come across a chess piece and it would trigger a flashback of a memory. That show was not good, but I remember like she brings it so hard, and Scott Glenn is also awesome in it, that it was like the best episode of TV, of any TV that year. It was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's always fucking fantastic.
We've certainly covered a lot of the good. What do you think is bad in this movie?
You know, there's really not a lot that's bad. I will say the music, a lot of the music is not aged well. for this. It's very sappy. I mean, it does work with the film still. It's just it's sappy and kind of overwrought. Now, that doesn't take into account the effects and some of the more intense musical bits, like the end of the movie, and also whenever Carrie uses her powers, you get those like Bernard Herrmann psycho strings.
Oh, that.
Yeah. And the level is through the roof too, so it's always jarring.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not a lot that I didn't dig in this movie, except, like I said, the music is really sappy.
Yeah.
Almost like TV movie sappy at times. I don't know. What about you? Is there anything you didn't jive with this time?
I mean, as far as what I don't like about it, it's kind of like I think that pig scene is really fucked up. And it's not fucked up because of how it's shot or what they're showing. It's just fucked up if you think about it in reality. Right? Like they go there and he takes a sledgehammer and he just beats at least one pig to death to get the blood. First of all, how is he getting the blood? Like he goes there with a jerry can, right?
Yeah.
So how is he transferring beating a pig to death with a hammer into blood in a jerry can? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it is one of those moments every once in a while, like in Stephen King stories, in particular, there'll be moments where you're like, kids would really do that? That seems like a lot of work for teenagers pulling a prank.
Yeah, and that is just fucked up. And let's see, what else didn't I like? It's not, I would say this movie is almost too short.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched it easy in an afternoon. Like, I just took a little extra time on my lunch break. It moves.
Yeah, it's almost like just under an hour and a half or just over an hour and a half, credits included. So, I guess I'm used to a lot longer movies. Not that you need to have a movie that's longer, but it's like all of a sudden you're at the end. And when you get to the end, a lot of innocent people get punished.
Yeah, well, Carrie's had enough. And talk about iconic horror images, but that, Sissy Spacek drenched in blood, peering through her fingers at people is, when I first remember this, way back when we were growing up, you had the book, the Stephen King book, Carrie, but it was after the movie had come out, and there were a bunch of color photos in there from the movie. And that's where I remember first seeing that image of Carrie White. And God, Sissy Spacek looks terrifying.
Absolutely.
In that moment, which again, a testament to her, because she's like 5'2", and she's been this sort of like naive little girl the whole movie. And then, they turn it on. Yeah.
They do. And I know that a lot of, from her point of view, is they're all going to laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you. And they're all laughing. But in reality, there's only like 2 or 3 or 4 or a handful of people that are laughing. I think they cut back and forth and they show the reality of like some people are horrified. But then from her POV, it's like, oh, everyone is laughing.
Yeah. And there was... Part of the reason why some of them were laughing was because William Catt, who plays Tommy, right, the greatest American hero, he gets hit on the head with the bucket and it knocks him out.
Yeah.
I really felt bad for him because he was like, by the end of that prom, he's actually being really nice to her.
Totally. I wrote that down as a note. I'm like, what is up with Tommy? Tommy's got a girlfriend. His girlfriend said, please take Carrie to the prom. It'll be nice. He didn't want to. He agrees. Carrie thinks it's a sham. Then she goes along with it. They have a nice time. She's laughing. He's like, oh, she's a really nice girl. Invites her to dance. Then he tries to kiss her. I'm like, dude, your fucking girlfriend is like over there. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, he was really getting into it.
Yeah.
And there was that De Palma angle while they were dancing that spins around them like 100 times. I think the actors started laughing at that. I think that's really them just laughing because it goes around them like an absurd number of times on that dance floor.
Yeah. Good stuff. Also, I wrote, not that this is bad, but I'll mention it. In that final moment, you know, when the thing comes down and hits Betty Buckley and the guy, you know, the principal or the teacher or whoever that was gets electrocuted and people are starting to die and the fire hose comes out. And the fire hose to me is just kind of silly. And I thought, man, if you change the music with like the Benny Hill theme, this would be ridiculous. Because the fire hose is just knocking people over tables and into cakes. And it's just very, very comical.
Yeah. Just blow some prom girl's dress off and you'd be right in a Benny Hill sketch for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, honestly, most of it was pretty tame until I think it was the English teacher like falls back, gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything catches on fire. And that's when, you know.
Yeah.
She takes it up a notch.
I haven't read the book in like 30 years, but if I remember correctly, it's mostly done from survivor accounts and people telling their version of what they think happened and news reports and stuff like that. It's not structured like a normal novel.
Oh, interesting.
Tabitha King pushed him to get it published because he was like, nah, this is garbage. No one's ever going to buy it. And he wanted to toss it out. And she was like, no. And I heard at one point that she had given it to someone first, but I don't know if that's true. But either way, it became his first big published novel and sold the movie rights for $2,700.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of it because so many King adaptations are, let's be honest, not good.
Yeah.
So many are garbage that as I was watching this, I thought, and I've never read the book, but I was like, I wonder, this has got to be, nobody ever thinks about, you know, everybody jumps to Shawshank and they'll go to Stand By Me and they'll go to Misery. And you know, those are almost universally regarded as the best three. But I was like, this is a great movie based on his book. This deserves to be up there. I mean, I don't think it's better than those three necessarily, but it's certainly a very good movie. Whether or not it's close to the book, I don't know, but it's a lot better than a lot of the times they've tried to adapt his stuff into film.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. This movie's absolutely a classic. I love it. Anything else you want to add about it? I can tell a thing I know about on set.
No, I agree with you. It stands up really well. De Palma is a great filmmaker. I think maybe, you know, that first scene could have been trimmed down a little bit.
Or not in slow motion.
But, you know, like I said at the beginning of this, not in slow motion. Exactly. But like I said in the beginning, one of the most iconic jump scares ever. Like pretty much everybody, and that's a part where the music gets absolutely relentless as Amy Irving is screaming and the music is going. That hand coming up out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And that was a true nightmare fuel for a lot of Gen Xers out there. And, you know, It still works.
It does still work. And that also was Sissy. That wasn't a double. That was Sissy buried under the ground because she wanted.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed when Amy Irving's walking up the street, it has this weird ethereal quality to it. And if you see, the car in the background is going backwards. It's
I
because
didn't notice that.
they shot it in reverse, so it would look more dreamlike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There you go. That's a little Hollywood minute for you.
That's some good trivia.
But wait, there's more.
Well, you don't say.
That's right. Act now, and I'll also tell you about the house was supposed to be destroyed with stones. So
with stones.
Yeah. In the beginning of the movie, they shot a wraparound thing, right? Or they shot a thing in the beginning of the movie where it rains pebbles on the house because they wanted to sort of like point towards the end when the house was going to be destroyed with brimstone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they shot the pebble thing and it didn't look right. It looked like heavy rain. So they scrapped it and they were going to keep the brimstone in, but when they went to shoot the miniature house being pommeled with the rocks, something happened and, a machine broke or something. There was a malfunction, something didn't work. So they ended up having to go with, well, let's burn the house down and let's kind of pull it in on itself a little bit. But if you watch the scene with Carrie and her mom in the kitchen during that, you see big holes open up in the roof and you can quickly see what look like giant lava rocks. Like, Nick, watch it again later or tomorrow and you'll be like, oh, fuck. Do they keep lava rocks in the attic? What's going on? But you wouldn't really notice unless you were looking for it. And I was looking for it. I was like, oh, shit, there's a brimstone. Oh, there's one, too. They tried to remove all those elements because the other part didn't work. And they just ended up going with the house sort of burning down and pulling in on itself. But that's also why at the end,
it's a giant pile of rocks. I did notice that.
Yeah,
I did notice that, and I did think that was weird. But wow, that makes a lot more sense now. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a neat little tidbit of trivia.
Wow. Also, just one question I had about the end. Watching this growing up, I always thought that it was Jesus in the end. That Piper Laurie was getting crucified in the door jam like she was Jesus.
Yeah, I always thought that too. I mean, that's obviously what it fucking looked like.
But it's not Jesus. It's like a direct representation of that figure in Carrie's prayer closet.
Okay.
Which is Saint Sebastian.
Oh.
And Saint Sebastian is the patron saint of athletes.
Really?
Yeah. And so I can't figure out why they used Saint Sebastian in this movie.
I do think that one thing might be that they just went around and bought everything that looked religious and populated the house with that. So it may have just been what was available at the local thrift store.
Well, it takes up such a prime spot, and they make Piper Laurie look exactly like it. One hand's higher than the other, and she gets pierced with the same number of things as there are arrows in that doll's body.
Oh, nice.
They're all in the same spot.
He's the one with the glowy eyes, right?
Yeah.
Those glowy eyes are creepy as fuck.
And even his hair looks like Piper Laurie's hair in it.
Wow. That's really cool.
It's funny, though, that they pelt the house with brimstone, which is, associated with hell.
Sure.
So I guess, in a way, were they saying, like, her mom was right all the time? Like, the devil is amongst them. You got to be careful. You don't attract the devil's wrath.
Yeah, it is kind of concerning.
Yeah, I feel like a mixed message after the journey we've taken with Carrie.
Or is it the fact that does Carrie bring all that onto herself? Like she wants to be destroyed.
Yeah, if she didn't want it, she wouldn't have used her powers. Is that what you're trying to say here?
Something like that. Maybe she wanted to cover her dirty pillows for good.
Yeah, it's like those movies where, all the Puritans are like, burn the witch, and then the witch ends up having powers. You're like, oh, I guess those nasty pilgrims were actually right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind.
She was a threat. Shit.
Yeah. Well, I guess is that enough of Carrie? Have we had enough of Carrie?
I think so. But I'm glad I revisited it because it's well worth the time. And like you said, a fairly short movie.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. How many Saint Sebastians? No. How many buckets of blood would you give Carrie out of 10?
Oh, I'm gonna go with 8.5. 8.5 buckets of blood. That's a classic for a reason, and it still holds up.
Nice. I was going to say 8, but because you went 8.5, I think I'm going to switch it to 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
9 buckets of blood. That's a good movie.
That is a lot of buckets of blood.
It sure is.
Yeah. All right. So we will be right back after this.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Oh, man. I'd been down here for a while recording that first piece, and I kind of got used to it, but I just went up to get a cup of tea, came back down, and that skunk, it was like just hit me in the face like a 2x4.
Oh,
Just
man.
Thunk. Yeah.
You have
it's
a
not
cat,
good.
don't you? Don't you have a cat?
Yeah. The cat, coincidentally, looks like the cat that Pepe Le Pew was always falling in love with.
Are
He's
you
black.
sure that your skunk isn't in love with your cat?
It could be. I haven't detected any French accents or French activity in my backyard. Yeah,
Mon chéri.
that's right. There's tiny. Who put this tiny beret in the backyard? Yeah.
I miss
But
those days.
we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about Maxxxine. Ty West's the last film in Ty West's trilogy featuring Mia Goth.
Yeah.
Maxxxine, set in the hot and steamy 1980s, Los Angeles, California. And,
1985.
the height of the Satanic Panic.
Oh, the Satanic Panic. Yes, I was a part of it. I want to say that, is Mom going to listen to this recording?
Probably.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we'll be nice.
She still loves us. No, go for it.
It wasn't her fault. It was her strangely weird religious friends who I want to say she probably knew a couple of people that were like Carrie's mom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I got spared that.
I know, because you were too young or maybe not even born yet. But I was like, Kiss t-shirts were evil and the whole, her friends tried to get the Richmond Blue Devils to change their name because it was wrong. And that was a thing. So
Yeah.
I remember the Satanic Panic well.
Oh, yeah. No, I do too. I never had it in. It was it was quite a paradigm shift in our house. Because when she shook that off, boy, did she shake it off. I don't think I ever heard anything about Jesus again in that house.
No.
But no, I certainly remember, having to go over to friends' house to get my Dungeons and Dragons books back because their parents thought they were corrupting their children. So
yeah, I remember that.
I got my share of it too. And Maxxxine takes place right in the height of it.
Well, let's run the trailer and talk about it.
Maxxxine. You're quite a popular name in adult entertainment, is that correct? Did you always want to be in that line of work?
I always wanted to be famous. Name 5 celebrities who got their start in horror movies.
Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta, Demi Moore, and
Maxxxine Minx.
The Night Stalkers terrorizing Los Angeles.
I can handle myself.
So said every bad girl in Hollywood.
Maxxxine, I'm the private detective. I had to find you. The past ain't finished with you. What are you hiding, Maxxxine?
If I tell you something, we've got confidentiality.
What'd you do?
Maxxxine.
You're a movie star.
In so much July 5.
Tell me, what'd you like about this one?
Oh man, honestly, I thought this movie was pretty good. Like, if I'm gonna,
I agree.
It pairs well with the other movies, really great. I mean, I understand that Pearl feels like a bit of an afterthought. I don't know if you know this, but X and Pearl were both shot in New Zealand.
Oh, was it New Zealand?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No, I totally bought that was like Florida.
No, definitely. It was shot in New Zealand, and Pearl was shot during the pandemic. So you've got that whole correlation with the Spanish flu in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, the real pandemic was going on. So they needed to be able to shoot something that had limited actors and limited places and could have a small crew. And that's how Pearl kind of came about.
I didn't know that. I loved Pearl. I really liked X. Mm-hmm. And I liked Maxxxine. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good, I mean, all three of those movies are very different, Yes. And I think it's testament to Ty West as a director. I mean, this one sealed it for me because we've mentioned it already. It's very De Palma-esque. There's a lot of, you can see a lot of his influence. But, Ty West isn't just tied to De Palma. Pearl had shades of it had shades of Oklahoma, the musical, and it had shades of Wizard of Oz in it. It had a lot of sort of Hitchcock-type vibes, which is really what De Palma is aping on in his career.
Sure.
And then X also is very different. He's directed 3 very different movies, and I don't know if Ty West has ever directed anything other than a horror movie, but he's certainly got the chops. Yeah, he certainly knows what he's doing.
He definitely does. And he is he's on top of it.
Here again. Yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, because, Mia Goth, she produced Maxxxine as well. I don't know how much of a hand she had in X and Pearl, but together, the two of them, no matter where their career goes from here, I think both of them will be able to look at this set of movies, and just as artists, as a director and as an actor, the way they flex their muscles throughout these 3 movies is really something to be proud of. Yeah. Because they're covering a lot of ground, a lot of different styles, and they're succeeding, I think, at almost every turn.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie just had the look of it is fantastic. I mean, it has that 80s look and feel, the neon and the vibrant colors, and the crew that brought all this together really lives in the 80s perfectly. And they shot this one here in Los Angeles. So they didn't shoot this in New Zealand as well. There's only a couple of things that were sort of brought from New Zealand, and we'll get into that later. But no, I really like this movie a lot. I think the acting is good. I think the writing is good. It reminded me of a lot of things at times. A little bit of Boogie Nights. Again, De Palma, as you say. Very, very heavy in it.
Yeah, this one, as I was watching it, I thought, I got to revisit Body Double.
Oh, yeah.
That De Palma movie. I was like, that's the one that, to me, and it had been years since I'd seen Body Double.
Sure.
But I thought, because we had decided Carrie because of the connection. But, Body Double seems to be a very heavy influence on Maxxxine. That was at least what I took away from it.
Yeah. I definitely feel the Body Double, all throughout this.
That actually got me thinking a little bit about this movie. Obviously, there are horror elements in this.
Yep.
But in a lot of ways, this didn't feel like a horror movie to me. It felt like a thriller. It felt like a thriller to me. It certainly, there's suspense and, the plot's taking you interesting places. But I don't think I was ever scared once while I was watching Maxxxine. Not the way I was sometimes when I was watching X and Pearl, at least.
Sure. I mean, X has that moment in it where you're like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, X, I think there's a lot of terror and uncomfortableness involved in just like, oh, what's going on? It's kind of making your skin crawl.
It's very Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
whereas
yes.
This is not at all. In fact, this is not the movie I thought it was going to be. Like, I expected it to be very different, and I wasn't disappointed in any way. I just expected it to be different. But I can't get into
I'll second
spoilers.
that. Yeah, I'll second that. I thought we were heading for a different thing. But to me, it played out a lot more like a thriller, again, like Body Double, than it did a horror movie.
Yeah. We should review Body Double one day because that is kind of a horror movie.
I just watched it like yesterday.
And, wow.
It's an interesting film. It really is, it's probably like peak De Palma in a lot of ways. And it owes a lot to Vertigo, is what I was thinking as I was watching it. Because there's so much obsession and, the voyeurism too. It's got a lot of Hitchcock elements to it.
Yeah,
it's Rear Window.
It's a lot of Rear Window is as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way in Body Double that the guy is kind of obsessed with the woman is very much like a Vertigo thing, where you're like, I don't know if I really am comfortable with you stalking this woman all around town.
Yeah, I should see how it holds up, because I have not watched that in a long time. I mean, we're going to get back here, but
here's the thing: definitely worth seeing, and especially since you've just seen Maxxxine. I think just in the filmic qualities, and there are some actually some direct things that I noticed. You'll see a lot of parallels. Like I said, Mia Goth and Ty West, they really have something to be proud of with these three movies, and the difference in her character, even from X, but then between Pearl, that sort of like naive country bumpkin psycho, in Pearl, to the absolutely ruthless, driven, bitch on wheels, and I mean that in the best possible way that she is in this movie. Is something to see. I mean, you can enjoy any of those movies on their own, but if you take them as a trilogy, she's fantastic in it.
Yeah, totally. Do you think she's the next Scream Queen? I mean, this is like 3 horror movies she's been in. Has she been in more? I'm sure she's been in more.
Yeah, she's been in more. She was
movies, right?
Yeah. She has. I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. No matter where her career goes, she can always look at these, and they're not just like, she was in the horror movie. Like, she does a fucking tremendous job as an actress. And
no, she's a fantastic actress.
The choices she makes, and it's really something special.
That makeup they do on her to give her all those like freckles, and it's just it's great. There's just something very, very great about it. Infinity.
What didn't you like? What didn't you like about this?
Shit, what didn't I like? What didn't I like that movie I can't ruin? I'll say I wasn't a big fan of the ending.
Nor was I.
I think it turns into another Ty West movie at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is the weakest of the 3, honestly. And that's not saying it's a bad movie, but for me, X and Pearl, I think, made bigger impressions on me than this one did. And again, doesn't mean it's bad. I just think it's the weakest one. And for me, it's the weakest one because I do feel like the end kind of collapses in on itself a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little unsatisfying.
But like you say, not in a way to make you go, oh, this movie isn't good or it's not quite worth it. Because like if you call X a 10 and Pearl a 9, this is an 8, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all very close.
They're all good. And it's not like, and it wasn't like the end was such a disappointment that it ruined the whole movie for me.
No.
Like, oh, come. It just in some ways didn't feel earned to me.
It felt like a Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah, a little bit.
Old Man Miller. Yeah, you're pulling the killer's mask off to see that it, Anyway, that's not a spoiler, so don't bust me on that, right? That's not a spoiler.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, I think that's a fairly astute observation. But we can get into that in the spoiler section here, unless there's anything that you want to say in summation of Maxxxine.
I would just say, in summation, if you like the other 2 movies, absolutely you have to see it. I don't think they'll make a sequel to this, but
no.
I guess it depends on how much money it makes, because obviously that's where Hollywood lives, is, it made X amount of money. Well, let's make another one. Even if people don't want to, they would spin it off.
If they made another one, they'd have to do it in a completely different style. At least I would hope that they would if they did another one. Because, like you said, X is very, it's very sort of Texas Chainsaw, gritty, grainy, a little bit dirty. A Pearl is, I think, it really did. When it started out, I was like, is this going to be like Oklahoma? Somebody come like run and jump over the fence at the beginning? Has a feel those old-timey movies. And then this one, is just so De Palma-esque. It's a thriller all the way. I would say, honestly, it's more of a thriller than it is a horror movie.
It's a thriller with slasher moments in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we got some good ones to talk about here.
Yeah. Should we go to the lobby and come back and talk about it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Here's a food delicacy you'll surely enjoy. It's new, it's different. Hot Italian meatball sandwich. Just like Mama made. You'll find them freshly made in a crisp Italian roll at our refreshment stand.
Here's the thing I would have said in the bad, but it would have been a spoiler. Ball stomp.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What in the fuck?
Yeah. That was, here comes Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
Dressed as
she
Buster
even calls
Keaton.
him Buster.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny. I
that
thought
was
it
very
great.
funny.
She is like they say it. Somebody is like, "Are you ruthless?" When that director is talking to her, "Are you ruthless?" And she's like, "Yes, I am." You're like, "Fuck yes, fuck yes, you're ruthless." Like she is she's the heaviest dose of consequence for fuck around and find out. Don't mess with this bitch.
What is this guy's problem? I mean, first of all, he's dressed as Buster Keaton, and he's going to rape her or he's going to rob her? I mean, he's obviously one of those guys that hangs out on Hollywood Boulevard, and to this day, there still are people that hang out on Hollywood Boulevard. At least I think. I haven't been in a little while, but I am going on Saturday to see Alien Romulus, which will be probably our next episode. But I will let you know if standing out in front of the Chinese theater, there's a guy dressed as Spider-Man or Superman or Wonder Woman or whatever. But anyway, they've got all these characters, and there's Buster Keaton, and he tries to fucking attack her, and she gets the jump on him.
Yeah, pulls out her gun, makes him strip naked, get down, face first.
Yeah,
and then, she makes him suck her pistol first, which was a nice reversal of fortune.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's enough. You can let Buster go now. Buster's learned a lesson. We don't know Buster is a bad guy. We don't know that first of all, there's this backdrop of the Night Stalker, right? The Night Stalker is not Buster Keaton, because we all know the Night Stalker is Richard Ramirez, and he's killing women and he's carving pentagrams into his palm and so on and so forth. So they're trying to tie it into that whole satanic panic and the Richard Ramirez thing. So Buster Keaton, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, but he approaches her in the alley. And first of all, Maxxxine, you do know the Night Stalker is out, because she literally passes a TV where they're like, "Police still on the hunt for the Night Stalker, advising ladies not to go out at night." And then she turns down a dark alley. You're like, okay.
Yeah, almost like she's inviting trouble.
Yeah, well, she can take care of herself, as she's about to demonstrate. So, but he does pull out a switchblade. He is going to try and fucking rape her or hurt her. I don't think he's going to try and take her purse.
I mean, he's never going to do that again, obviously.
So let's just get right to it.
Yeah.
The ball stomp, because
oh man,
it was shocking. And you get an overhead shot where you see his berries hanging out there, the old scrotum's there, and then she, from the overhead angle, stomps on it.
Oh yeah,
that could be the end, but no, they give you a nice little ground level close up. I gotta say this: I didn't expect to see the plums come out of the bag.
Oh, once the plums come out of the bag, they're tough to put back in there, man.
Oh boy, you thought the cat was tough.
Oh hell, that was so fucked. And I haven't seen like a thing that vicious since I worked on Hostel 2, and we did the castration of one of the actors and fed it to a dog.
Oh boy.
And coincidentally, my buddy who I worked on Hostel 2 with worked on Maxxxine, so I guess he's good with balls. Oh.
It truly was. It truly was a horrifying effect, though.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. What I just said a second ago. This movie does feel more like a thriller, but boy, they don't shy away from the gory elements in this.
No, they don't.
Yeah. What did you say before? I think when we were talking about this earlier, it's like a movie that goes for the tender bits. Was that it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This movie really goes for the tender bits. It does. Every kill has got some part where you're just like, oh, I hate that. Oh, I hate when things go in someone's eye. Oh, I hate when that, there's so much of that in this, which is good. Obviously they're trying to get that feeling from you of like, ugh, like too much, but it's, it's effective. It's very, very effective.
So the Night Stalker is terrorizing Los Angeles. Maxxxine, porn star, just trying to make her best life, auditioning for movies, getting cast in non-porn films.
Trying to do the Tracy Lords.
Trying to do the Tracy Lords.
Yeah.
Wow. Very good. Tracy Lords. Amazingly, I didn't even think of her once when I was watching this movie. That's the most direct call right there, isn't it? Tracy Lords.
Absolutely. And also the Marilyn Chambers. And they mentioned Marilyn Chambers in the movie, and she says, fuck Marilyn Chambers or something like that.
Yeah. There's even a scene where somebody's getting hauled off behind a green door. I was like,
oh, really? I didn't notice that. That's good.
Yeah, it's like, that's a nice little
nice. Did you happen to catch the Theda Bara Walk of Fame star?
I did, because it's a name I wasn't familiar with. So as soon as I saw Maxxxine stubs out a cigarette on Theda Bara's star.
Yeah.
And old silent film star, Theda Bara.
One of the very first female sex symbols. Yeah. They called her the Vamp.
Yeah. The Vamp.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
As I'm watching the movie and I'm like, Theda Bara, I wonder if that means anything. Let me look it up. Oh my goodness, it does mean something.
Yeah.
This will make me sound smart. I will remember.
Yeah, I'm not about to pretend like I knew that beforehand.
No. We're not walking around Hollywood going, oh yeah, of course I remember Theda Bara. How could I not?
It does make me wonder if maybe there was a Theda Bara reference in Pearl, though, that escaped me. Because there was that section where they're looking at the old-timey pornography, and they're talking a lot about silent film stars in that. But just speaking of Maxxxine trying to make it in real Hollywood, and they got a lot of, of course, the auditions and the behind-the-scenes stuff. Again, like Body Double, which has a lot of that stuff too. There's a scene, I kind of wanted your 2 cents. There's a scene where Maxxxine goes and gets a life cast of her head put over her.
Yes.
And she has a bit of a freak out. She has some like flashbacks and stuff. And I was just wondering if you had any, you don't have to drop names, but any times people have gotten life casts or anything like that in the shop that haven't been able to finish, if they've gotten claustrophobic.
That has happened a couple of times. Absolutely. It's happened with some famous people as well. Usually it's like the big, strong, tough stunt guy or the action film star that, claims to do his own stunts and then has to be like, no, I have to have my mouth open. Okay. I also have to have my fingers in my mouth so I know my mouth is open. And then I can make sure that nothing can close over my mouth. I'm holding my fingers open with my mouth. Or my mouth open with my fingers. Yeah. No. This is a real thing, and people do freak out. Now, one thing I will say about this particular scene is no one
would leave the room.
Yeah, no, because that people are are going to have a freak out or potentially have a freak out. So you make sure you get everything done as quickly as possible. You've got your bandages all ready to go with the hot water. And as soon as this is, starts to set up within a couple of minutes or, 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to start putting the bandage on really quickly and you're watching the nose the whole time. No one ever walks out of the room. Yeah.
I had that same thought.
I do know that was mentioned to the film crew, and they went, "Yeah, we understand, but it makes more sense for the scene for it to be like this."
Well, now when you do a life cast, do you normally put like a couple of straws up the person's, like short straws up their nose so that they can breathe during it? Because I didn't.
That's a common misconception. Everyone always thinks they get the straws up the nose because they've seen it in old movies or whatever. And maybe in the early days, somebody did that once or twice, but I would never stick straws in someone's nose because if they lean forward or fall forward or do anything weird, or because they're blinded, you don't want something that could potentially damage their sinus cavity sticking out of their face you could bump into. Because they don't know not to shift their head around or anything like that. So that is an extremely dangerous thing to do. So if anybody out there ever gets a life cast, do not let them put straws in your nose. That's not how it's done. You just have someone watch the nose and make sure nothing goes over it. So you've got someone sort of on nose duty. It's usually a 2-person gig, right? Casting a head. Someone's putting the stuff over. Someone else is kind of keeping an eye on the nose, making sure the pathway is clear. And also, you're going to constantly talk to the actor. You good? Give me a thumbs up. I have had actors freak out to where you have to hold their hand. And you're like calming them down and petting their hand and letting them know it's going to be okay. And saying, we're almost there. We're almost there. Sometimes they can make it all the way to the end. Sometimes they freak out and you need to pull it off quick. And you hope that you're able to salvage it if you pull it off quick. But luckily nowadays, we have scanners and we can 3D print. So if someone is like, I'm deathly claustrophobic and I cannot do that, we say, great, we'll scan you, we'll print you, and then we life cast the print. So there you go. Any questions?
No, that was good. That was good.
All right.
I want to go on to the next little tender bit that we were talking about, which was the video guy kill.
Oh, that's such a great kill.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Right. Severing the back of the neck first, and just sort of unzipped the back of the neck.
Yeah. All this was done so well, and I'll have to talk to my buddy and ask him exactly how they shot that scene, because I thought, like, wow, this is good. A lot of those effects were done by a company here in California, Fractured Effects, whereas the original X and Pearl, having been done in New Zealand, were done by Weta.
Huh.
I have to say it like that because that's how they would say it. Weta effects.
Weta. Is Weta the only game in town in New Zealand effects? Because
I'm pretty sure they did Lord of the Rings and all of Peter Jackson's stuff, and they do a lot of other movies too. Not necessarily things that shoot just in New Zealand, but things that are in Europe or even things that are here. And I know that in this particular movie, they did run another copy of the old lady makeup, which of course you see in the Psycho house up in the window.
Yeah. And also during the life cast scene, right? Doesn't she? Yeah. She comes behind her when she's in the life cast and puts her hands on Maxxine's neck.
Yeah. Do we see her whole thing or do we just see the hands?
I feel like maybe you just see kind of blurry old. I think you see more of her than just the hands. If I'm remembering that right, you kind of see her soft focus behind.
Well, that would make
Maxxine.
sense because the whole reason they do the life cast is so they can have a fake head of her in the movie that she's in.
Mm-hmm.
And the fake head that they made of her, because it's a 1985 movie, they wanted to use the same technology. So instead of making a silicone head, they made a foam head. like you would have done in the 80s. So that is like an old school makeup effects head that you see at the end of the movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. This has been another Hollywood Minute.
Video guys slashed in the neck, slashed down the eye, stabbed repeatedly.
Goodness. He just gets more and more and more and more. You're like, fuck, die already.
But somebody who wouldn't die in the beginning is fucking Kevin Bacon's in this movie.
Dude, I had no idea Kevin Bacon was in this movie, and I had no idea that Kevin Bacon was pretending he's William Forsythe in this movie.
Totally.
He is like white trash motherfucker out of the gate.
Yeah. Well, one thing as an actor you can always do to lower your class, lower your standing real quick is just fuck your teeth up, And he painted on that sort of like nicotine brown stain on there. So, yeah, there was no fucking charming footloose Kevin Bacon. This was skeevy ass, William Forsythe, Kevin Bacon in this. Yeah. But, making his appearance as the private investigator here and, borderline harassing our girl Maxxxine. And it's just not a good idea, because he may even say something like, "Ooh, you're a firecracker" in this. And it's like, this bitch is like, she's like 10 pounds of tea and fucking tea. Don't say no firecracker.
Yeah, and he's a lit match.
Oh. She comes at him when he's sitting in his car like, "Oh, I'm looking at you." He's talking some shit. She just comes up with a fistful of keys. And oh,
it's so good. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody get punched with a fistful of keys. I've certainly heard about it, and I've certainly thought about it, but I don't know that I've seen that in a movie where someone's got their fist, and in between every finger is a key.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, shit. Yeah. And how much damage she would have fucking done to his face.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, he did. I mean, he got nice and fucked up. He was wearing that bandage for almost the rest of his time in the movie. And he's bloodied up. The thing is, it's like, I talked before, is like, is this a horror movie? Because so much of it just feels like a thriller. It's these elements that push it into the horror genre for me, because they don't shy away. In fact, they're so extreme. Ball stomp. Fucking eye slice.
Yeah.
Punching somebody in the face 5 times with a fistful of keys.
All things that make you cringe when you think about it. Every fucking kill in this movie is a cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that, I mean, like I said, Bacon doesn't die there. He's still got a little ways to go.
Bacon just got the fat trimmed.
He did. But they're going to let him sizzle a little bit more, because in comes Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh my God. The best agent ever.
The world's greatest agent.
Yeah. How much money would you pay to have him as your agent?
I know. Does he just charge the standard 10%? Because he's really going above and beyond in this.
He's doing God's work.
Essentially, he's got that. He's one of the only, there's a couple characters. The director, kind of tells Maxxxine what's what. And then he has that little monologue about, like, he's the big bad wolf, and he's going to take care of her problems. And, boy,
that wig, man, is he Rick James?
Sweet. That was a sweet wig. Whoever put that one together, I was,
yeah.
So
good.
Speaking of the 80s.
The moment I saw it, I was like, oh yes, this is perfect. And cause you always see him like in an older look, you know, with like no hair or short gray hair or something like that. But he's becoming such a good, great character actor that to see him in that wig is just, you're just like, oh, hell yes. It's like you want a fist bump, you know?
Yeah. It's a hell of a wig. It goes, you could imagine that character wearing like, that's the kind of guy that wears silk pajamas, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
In the middle of the day, probably at home.
Yeah.
He's just still.
Yeah.
He's
got a cigar and a martini.
Yeah. Professional.
He's taking calls on a headphone.
Yeah, that exactly. That hair says professional man of leisure right there.
Exactly. Oh, so fucking good.
And then they take care of Kevin Bacon and, you know, they smack him on the back of a head with, I think, like a pipe or something. He falls off a loading dock like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
Wakes up.
Stuntman Kevin Bacon.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, it's such a satisfying thud. I don't think it's just a stunt man because he takes about a
kill Kevin Bacon
7-foot drop onto his face.
Yeah,
but waking up in the car at the junkyard,
sure, as you do.
Yeah, and still talking a little shit up until the end when they put the squeeze. They put squeeze on the bacon.
I'll be honest. I thought they were going to shut it off at some point.
Yeah, right? Like we're just going to scare you. No.
Yeah. No, they pressed that bacon between two paper towels. They squeezed all the juice out of that bacon.
They sure did.
All the grease comes pouring right out of the side of the car in a big bloody rivulet. Which was, I was like, wow, all right, sure. No, you're right. That's what would happen.
Yeah. You got all that juice on a one Kevin Bacon?
Who'd have thunk?
And they all just stand there and watch it like a bunch of badasses.
Yeah.
Definitely making his 10%, that agent.
Yeah.
He's fucking amazing.
I think this was probably also the moment where I realized the movie wasn't going to be what I thought it was going to be. I think what I thought this movie was going to be is Maxxxine just goes around bumping everybody off that's fucking with her and trying to cover it up, but using like the Night Stalker as a way to cover it up. That's what I thought this movie was going to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the trailers, it's promising Night Stalker, and you think, oh, you know, you've got this chick who's been through this. I thought she's either going to, you know, run afoul of the Night Stalker, and that's going to be some, I don't know, some cat and mouse, or she's going to be the Night Stalker in some way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like they pull a Tarantino and they change history, and I hate when they fucking do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is not what this. I thought the movie was going to head that direction, and you're right. It gave you something completely different.
Yeah. But her agent, such a help.
Yeah. I think I even wrote, "Get lost, we'll clean up the rest," was what the agent said to her after they squished Kevin Bacon to death. And I was like,
yeah.
God, high five. That is that agent. That's when you know your agent is working for you, when he fucking cleans up the body.
Yeah.
Wow, you really do believe in me. Damn. Better make sure I'm off book for that next audition then.
I will go to whatever you ask.
Holy shit. But then, then the movie, and it's where I think it falls apart for me, honestly, is this.
I agree.
In the third act, when you find out, dun dun dun,
who the killer is.
Yeah, it's really not the Night Stalker at all. It is.
No.
It is her father and the religious cult that are
Old Man Miller
looking for her. Yeah, and to me, what didn't work is because, you know, I think X and Pearl stand alone by themselves as a movie.
Yeah.
And at the end of X, you find out that the religious preacher on TV is her father, right? Which is it's kind of like a cherry on top of that movie. Just a little isn't this an interesting little detail?
Yeah.
But they don't flesh that out in this movie. He just kind of appears, and I feel like, you tried to make a whole meal out of that cherry on top of something. And if you're going to have a reveal like that, I needed a little bit more. I needed you to earn it a little bit more because it became such a major plot twist in here.
I totally agree. And I thought to myself, Ty West, you've already made this movie. It was called The Sacrament.
The Sacrament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Religious cult. Right. The religious cult and the bad guy. And you had mentioned earlier before we started recording, they all have guns.
Yeah. She goes to the house at the very end of the movie. Has to take a little tram to get up there. And again, just like in Body Double.
Yep.
But then...
is it the same one?
It's not the same house. It's just another house in the hills that you need to take a little.
Yeah. There must be a couple of them then, because I'm pretty sure the one that they were using in this one, I've seen in another movie as well. I even tried to look it up. I was like, tram and house in Hollywood. And it just gave me a bunch of, like the downtown tram and all that kind of bullshit. So.
But she gets, she finally accepts the invitation. All of her friends have gone to this party and they're all dying. They're all getting pentagrams burnt into them. Again, there's the whole satanic panic aspect of it. And then you find out, it's not the Night Stalker. It's this super zealous religious cult.
Daddy?
I guess killing these people in the name of Jesus, but they're branding them with irons, and it's like it's like that Mitchell and Webb sketch. Do you know what I'm talking about? They must have had that conversation. They're like,
"Are we the baddies?
Yeah, are we the bad guys?" Like every single one of them has a gun underneath their robes. Everyone, they've got branding irons with pentagrams on them. Like, did anyone ever stop and think like, Are we the bad guys in this?
They're torturing sex workers.
Yeah. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a really great correlation.
Torturing them, mutilating them, because you get Maxxine gets cast in that movie, The Puritan 2, in Lily Collins, right? Phil Collins' daughter. She's
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, she's the starlet in The Puritan 2 who goes to the party.
Yep.
Why? And she's in the suitcase. Like they chop her up into little bits.
Yeah.
And they put her in a suitcase.
That was another Brian De Palma moment. That was like the Untouchables with the baby carriage going down the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was from Battleship Potemkin. And so now you've got this.
Really?
Yeah, it's suitcase full of body parts.
It's our second episode, and you're going to bring out Battleship Potemkin in our second podcast episode.
I don't know if you know, but I actually work in Hollywood.
Yeah, Battleship Potemkin. It's a fantastic example of the Kuleshov effect when they cut to Maxxine's face after looking at the suitcase, and you could tell that she was thinking about the horrors contained within.
You do know that I am all about film school bullshit.
Yes. Boo. But why was she cut up in that suitcase?
I don't know.
All the other girls, right? They were like branded, and they were like their bodies, I guess, were left somewhere where the police could find them. But why was Lily Collins so special that she had to be like packed into the carry-on luggage
by these religious people?
Like, where were they going with that?
Exactly. Are they taking her on the train somewhere?
Yeah, we have to make sure that it fits in the overhead bin.
We have to make sure Lily can fit in the overhead bin.
Yeah. I
Oh,
did.
that's fucking good.
Yeah, it had me wondering, like, what the fuck was the point of that, other than being horrifying.
I think it was just being horrifying. Is all the point was.
And a good Lily Collins decapitated head frozen in mid scream.
Yes,
mixed in with the with the luggage.
Much like Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The decapitation on the Odessa steps.
Yeah, we know stuff.
But this is our climactic scene, right? Where you get a couple of other good kills in there in the swimming pool, right?
Oh yeah, the stiletto up the nose again. Tender areas. What the fuck?
Yes.
Like, pump the brakes, man. You've already stomped on balls and cut across eyes, and now you're stabbing up a nose. It's all these things that just make you go, ugh, like cringe. It's fucking horrible. And moments later, Michelle Monaghan stabbed in the eye. And she comes, it's almost comical, right? Like, where did she go? I don't know. She was here a minute ago. Boom. She comes stumbling around the Hollywood sign, the fucking crucifix stuck in her eye.
Oh.
Like, these fucking religious people really are fucked up.
Yeah. She gets stuck in the eye and then takes like a roll down the hill.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just like it was good. But you're right. It's almost comical at that point. She comes around the corner and she says, like, I got him. Or something like that, with a cross sticking out of her eye before she tumbles down the hill. And then you see good old Maxxine's daddy kind of gasping for air there on the ground.
What if they had the Benny Hill music during this sequence too? With the people jumping around the pool and machine guns going and lights flaring and Michelle Monaghan stumbling around with the thing and then falling down the hill. That might have been good.
Yeah, maybe falling down the hill. It doesn't have quite the Benny Hill potential that the end of Carrie did. I think the end of Carrie actually would probably work out pretty well.
We should check on YouTube to see if somebody's done it. And if somebody hasn't done it, we should do it. And that becomes part of our Patreon content.
Oh, I love it. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just taking.
All right.
Yeah. Anytime we find a famous scene from a horror movie that we think we might be able to insert yakety sax into.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. I'll be honest. That's what's going to make us famous.
and we get to the last kill of the movie, which is her dad getting the old sawed-off shotgun treatment.
Yeah, I like that they do this whole fantasy moment where she's thinking about everything and the future. And to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure if we were seeing the future or if that was just what she was thinking. Like, at first you think you're beyond father's death.
Yeah.
And she's at the screening and how did you get here and blah, blah, blah. And then it goes back to dad. That is a good head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looked, again, I mean, at this point I've seen plums come out of the bag. So I'm kind of gritting my teeth every time we get to another tender moment.
Yeah. And this, again, I'm pretty sure is all some of the stuff that Fractured Effects did here in LA. But yeah, fucking wow. Good. Like, I'm not sure if that's a digital mix. A lot of times nowadays they'll do like a digital mix of something, or if it's just like an air mortar head that just kind of comes apart. Either way, well done. Looks great.
Yeah.
I didn't think, that looked hokey in any way. So.
Oh no, there wasn't a single effect in this movie that wasn't executed well. That didn't go all the way. And sometimes sometimes a bit too far. But,
So just a touch.
But it was
a touch.
Yeah, it was just because it was super realistic.
Yeah. And I kind of mentioned it earlier, but the very end of the movie after Dad's dead and all that, and she's looking in the mirror, or maybe it was even in the fantasy flash forward. I thought Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is Dirk Diggler staring in the mirror, talking about how he's a superstar, and then camera pulls back to show the penis.
I was glad it didn't show Mia Goth's penis, though. That would have been a whole...
I'm so glad that it didn't turn into a
sleepaway camp. Yeah, totally. Whoa.
Yeah.
The twist ending you never saw coming. Yeah. And it would make you question everything you'd seen up to that point. Like, wait a second, she's a porn star. I've seen her naked, riding. Oh my God.
No way. Yeah. That'd be funny. Maybe that's what the sequel, but.
So, what rating system are we going to use for Maxxxine?
I don't know, man. That's a good question.
How many car keys? How many shot? I mean,
how many?
I will say this: Maxxxine, the character, you look at her through X and through this movie, she has used a variety of things to kill people with.
Yeah,
she's really.
So, is it? How many smashed plums would you give this movie?
Sure. How many plums are coming out of the bag on this one?
Yeah, how many plums came out of the bag on this one?
Oh,
you got to zip that bag up, my buddy.
I am going to give this one. I mean, I think it's well done. It does kind of fall apart for me in the end, but but it's not so egregious that it means I didn't enjoy the movie. But I do think it's the weakest of the three. So I'm gonna give 7.5 plums to this, and that plum is really smashed.
Well done. We are indeed brothers. I was going to say the same fucking thing. 7.5 plums.
Yeah. It's good, but it made me. There's been a couple of movies lately that have made me think about it. Is just like, is this a horror movie? Certainly, the effects and the gore are the realm of horror movies, or have always been the realm of horror movies. But I had a surprising lack of fear, or a sense of terror, or dread, or anything like that going on this one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Me too. I mean, I never had any of that. To me, it's just it's a stylish thriller with slasher moments.
Yeah.
It
was a lot.
What do you think Gene Siskel would have said about it?
I don't think
this is a callback to episode 1.
Gene
Siskel.
Yeah. You know what? Ty West is a real. He's got a deft hand and a good eye, and all the De Palma influence, and which makes it sort of some Hitchcock influence and stuff. Gene's probably not a fan of smashed plums, but he's got to recognize a good director when he sees one, and Ty West really is.
Sure,
he's a good director, and Mia Goth, again, the performance in this one isn't as stirring as the double casting in X, which I didn't even know. See, when I saw X, I didn't actually know about that until I was about an hour into the movie. And I went, wait a second.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then Pearl I think she's wonderful in Pearl and terrifying.
She is a fantastic actress.
Completely different in this. So yeah, Siskel's going to recognize the direction and the acting.
Or so you think. I wonder if we could have an AI version of Gene Siskel. I'm going to see if we can work that out, see what Gene Siskel would rate movies today, and we'll put that as a piece in the show. But I'll tell you, he did review Carrie. What do you think he thought of Carrie?
Out
of 4 stars.
out of 4 stars. He's going to give Carrie 3 stars. Did he go half star?
Half stars are our deal, yes.
All right. I would say he gives Carrie 3.5 stars.
Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4 and called it a crude shocker with little style.
What? Man.
Again, Gene, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Gene. Yeah. That's it. Put it on the T-shirt. That's our first T-shirt. We're going to be selling that merch in a couple of weeks. Look for that. The head, the tail, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Gene.
Go fuck yourself, Gene. Don't forget to reach out to us at thewholedamnthing13@gmail.com for any questions, thoughts, concerns. Click the links below for our Patreon. We've got 3 different levels you can subscribe at. And the 3rd level gets you into the private screening room where you can watch movies with us as we talk through them, which will happen a few times out of the year. And you're also going to get to hear the punishment reviews that we do. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the punishment reviews? Now, next week, we're going to review, or on the next show, not necessarily next week, because we don't know how we're going to release this yet, but it's going to be Alien and Alien Romulus. We're going to be seeing it this weekend, Alien Romulus. So we will do a quiz. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Yeah, so the idea is that every episode we come up with a list of 5 questions for each other based on the movie or the director that we are going to be reviewing that week. And whoever gets the most questions wrong has to do a punishment review, which we've just decided is going to be the Wheel of Uwe, where we have to spin the wheel. We've got about 20 Uwe Boll movies loaded up, and we'll spin the wheel
into a random generated wheel spinning picker thing.
and the loser of the quiz will have to watch that movie and give us a review with perhaps some silly little add-ons, voices, and thematic elements layered in.
Absolutely. As they will be questioned and pestered by the winner of the quiz.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I can't fucking wait.
I mean, that guy has made so many shitty movies. It's truly impressive.
You can look forward to such films as House of the Dead, In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege movie, or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, and they made like 3 of those somehow.
Did they really?
Yes, I was just looking at his page. Who keeps giving that guy the money?
No. Blood Rain 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, goodness gracious. Stop it.
All right, so we have our first list of Patreon people to thank for helping support us.
Shout outs!
Shout outs!
Amy Wood, thank you so much. Caitlin McCarty, we love you. Christopher Rakowski, couldn't do without you. And a thanks to Arthur Doherty. Art, you're the man.
Yes. Jason Burnett, thanks, buddy. Justin Martinez, Casey Mooseman, Yvonne Boyazis, and Anthony Ortiz, who was our very first, literally, like I sent him the link and 5 seconds later I got, you have a new Patreon. And I was like, wow, that was fast.
You took our Patreon virginity. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Anthony.
Thank you.
We will remember you for the rest of our lives. We've also got some other people to thank just for helping us put this thing together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Globerman, who did the music, fantastic. Tyler Patton, who is our announcer.
Lindsay Wolf Birdsall, who helped us put together other sound design issues like the lobby song, and Michelle Vasquez, who helps make everything nice and polished on Instagram and other marketing materials. Thank you. We love you. Hopefully much more to come. You can follow us, of course, if you're not already, on Instagram at thewholedamnthing13. Look for us. That's where we will be posting funny memes and dropping new episodes and directing people to our Patreon. Why don't you tell them about the Patreon, Mike?
the Patreon. We got a bunch of different levels you can join at, and find us at The Whole Damn Thing at Patreon. There's also a link on the Instagram that will take you there.
Absolutely. And lastly, questions, comments, concerns. You can email us at thewholedamnthing13@gmail.com. thewholedamnthing13@gmail.com. And we will look them over and get back to you if we can. Unless it's a harsh criticism, in which case you can send that to
your mom at The Whole Damn Thing.
The head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 2. Our next podcast will be titled Episode 3. Pretty fancy, huh? That's going to be Alien and Alien Romulus. And I'm sure there's plenty to talk about. This one might be a long one because there's, well, you'll see. Have you ever noticed that when you try to please everyone, you end up with some watered-down, soggy trash? Speaking of watered-down, soggy trash, next week, Alien Romulus will be compared to Alien, one of the greatest films of all time.